What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod back with another video, and today I'm alongside my beautiful wife Dominique. You want to say something to the people?
Hey guys.
I know you be so quick to tell everybody Merry Christmas.
I'm gonna save that for the end.
Alright. So today, just wanted to respond to some of the comments we've been getting. I definitely just wanted to do a detailed video as to why we decided to move from California to Arizona, and I figured why not include my wife, because it wasn't just me moving. You know, we both moved together. So
you wouldn't have left me.
Nah, I wouldn't have left you. Oh. So of course, let's just jump straight into it. So the first reason as to why we decided to move is really just the cost of living.
Yeah.
And it came down to it, California is beautiful, especially Santa Barbara. We was right next to the beach. We could actually see the beach from my house. But at the end of the day, it was just way too much money we were spending just to say that you lived alongside the coast. And it's one of those things where, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're really like wanting to grow a business, spending that much money on rent every month and gas and food and all of those different expenses, they really do add up, and you just won't be able to, you know, really see your money really grow. You know what I mean?
And I think the biggest thing too is you spend so much for so little. I think that was always my biggest problem. The fact that we would spend so much for rent for a 1-bedroom, or we would spend so much for dinner and we literally would get a sandwich. Like, it just didn't make sense. So I feel like you spent way too much for this little bit of stuff.
Right. We literally lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. Granted, it had a really nice big garage, so I was able to kind of use that garage as a warehouse space. And that was the main reason to even take that place, was because of the garage. And before living there, I was basically running a business out of a storage unit, so it was effective, but it was just kind of inconvenient having to always go back and forth. But like I said, we were spending $23.50 a month just for rent.
$2,350
for a 1-bedroom apartment. And like I said, it was beautiful. We could see the beach from my house, but at the end of the day, spending that amount of money on rent, it's ridiculous. And I don't think it makes sense, especially for people our age. Like, maybe if you're a little older and you're retired, or, you know, maybe you can spend kind of frivolously, but at this stage where we're really trying to grow, take our business to the next level, I think it just made more sense to actually move and just, you know, kind of, like I said, just make that money stretch.
I agree.
Next reason why we moved from California to Arizona was simply just because there's more things to do. While we were in Santa Barbara, I think we basically did everything there is to do in like the first 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, really quick. I mean, it's a lot of, like I said, sandwich shops, coffee shops, wine. And don't get me wrong, I love all those things, but I like more than just that. And I was realizing we were spending so much money to not really enjoy our neighborhood, and I think that really is what like drove us out too. Like, I wanted to be able to do a lot more. Like, date night literally always ended up with us just getting food, and although I love food, I wanted to do something else besides just eating.
Because when we were living in Buffalo, we would go to comedy shows, we would go bowling, go to the movies, just different stuff. And sometimes it might be, you know, a show, a concert, somebody coming to town. Nobody was really coming to Santa Barbara for anything, especially nobody we were interested in. I don't know if it was, probably people were coming, but not people we were interested in. So it was just one of those things where, you know, you find yourself literally doing the same thing, eating the same food, going to the same restaurants, and it's just like, that's it.
And one of the big things too that we realized, we did have a bowling alley, but everything was pretty much just one. So with that being said, because there's only one bowling alley, of course they're gonna hike the price up to go bowling. Like, there's no reason we should be spending almost $30-$35 to go bowling. Like, that's insane. So I think, yeah, like you said, that had a lot to do with it, just being able to do more stuff.
Next up on the list is just the fact that we're going to be central to an airport. And prior to this, Santa Barbara's airport, of course we use that airport maybe once or twice, but just using like a municipal airport, super expensive. It's an additional sometimes $100, maybe $200-$300 just to go anywhere. And of course, with that being said, we'd have to usually fly out of LA, and anybody that's familiar with LA and LAX airport, it's a nightmare going in and out, dealing with that type of traffic. And we do travel a lot. Granted, last year we did slow things down a little bit because of the wedding. We were trying to save, just to be more responsible. But at the end of the day, we do like to travel, and there's still so much traveling we have planned to do. And that constant, call it a 2-hour drive back and forth to the airport was really just a
3
headache.
hours sometimes.
Depending on the traffic, it could be 3 hours. So it's one of those things where we really just decided to let's live in a major city where we can have closer access to the airport, whether that's 20-30 minutes away, and we'll be able to travel more, do more. And since we're saving so much money in terms of cost of living, we'll be out very much. Yeah, so that's the plan. Next up, and this is probably one of the most important things, is just the fact that we wanted to be somewhere where there was more diversity, mainly in terms of the food options too. Because it's one of those things, like we said, we would go out to eat, and not even say we go out to eat all the time, but it's just one of those things it's like you would go out to eat, you go somewhere, and you're the only black people in the room. And then other places, sometimes you might go somewhere and all you have is just a simple, a sandwich option. And I never realized that until we moved, that everywhere we went was just a simple, BLT, grilled chicken sandwich. Everything is just very, very simple, very basic. And of course, being in Arizona now, the options, especially in terms of food, is endless. It's everything. It's Caribbean, it's Thai, it's Italian, it's everything you can think of in terms of food and stuff like that. So
and I think that was really big for me, like us not being at home. So, you're not having your mom's cooking or your grandma's cooking, and you sometimes just want to go get soul food or go get a Caribbean plate, and we did not have that option in Santa Barbara. In Santa Barbara, like we would have to drive to LA to get a bigger city to get like the food we really wanted, and that was huge. So definitely, like you said, being able to just go get some food that you're really familiar with versus just grabbing a sandwich all the time really made a big difference. Just our first few times coming to Phoenix, we went to a Caribbean place, and when I tell you, we've probably gone there almost 10 times now. It's our favorite place. I don't know if we should plug them in there or not.
I mean, we give them a shout out, Caribbean Palm, shout out to y'all, because y'all definitely had a lot to do with us, getting so excited to move. Because when it comes down to it, I'm surprised I'm even talking so much about food, because who would have thought that would have been such a big deal? But it really does make a difference, because at the end of the day, food always brings people together, and you meet different people while you're out and about. And for us, we really wasn't meeting anybody. And one thing that's really huge, especially if you're in business, your relationship, the relationships you make with people, it would really help you take your business to the next level. So for us, just knowing that we wasn't really putting ourselves in a situation where we could meet new people and grow our business, it was just like, had to go.
And another reason why we wanted to move was just, now that we're married, we really wanted to start looking into buying a home. I mean, it's not going to be our very first thing we do, but it's definitely something that I wanted to do in the near future, within the next year or 2 years. And in California, we couldn't even see it being a possibility. Like I said, just by paying so much in rent, it was almost impossible to save for a mortgage. So it was one of those things where it was like it made way more sense to just go somewhere a little bit cheaper. We can save that extra money that we would have been paying for rent and put it towards a mortgage. So that was definitely something huge. And I know for me, buying a house is really important. So that's definitely something we were going to look forward to in Arizona.
Especially for our area, the average cost of a house was $1.1 million. And of course, when you have a business, it's one of those things where when it comes down to your income, especially when it comes down to like trying to write off certain business expenses, at the end of the day, it looks like you don't make much on paper. So something like that, trying to buy a house for $1 million is just completely out of the price range. A lot of lenders, a lot of realtors, they're not even gonna try to even pre-approve you for stuff like that. So just to put ourselves in a better position, that way we can eventually buy a home and buy a couple homes and start trying to really level up. It was only a matter of time until we ended up moving, because trying to buy a house out there.
And that's it. For the $1 million home, you would think that's your dream home. Like you would think if you're going to spend $1 million on a home, you better have acres and bedrooms and bathrooms. You'll be lucky if you get about 2-3 bedrooms in a tiny home. So again, just not worth it. Not worth the money.
And last but not least, the main reason why we decided to move from California to Arizona is just because we really have a lot of big goals and a lot of big plans, and eventually wanting to either open up a storefront or just another retail space, and trying to get any place in California to rent or to own. Like I said, just like with a house, any commercial property in California is just as expensive, if not more expensive, for a very, very small space. And it just really didn't make any sense. So we just decided to, move somewhere where we can have that option. Maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years down the road. Who knows how long it'll actually take until we find something that we really do like. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, you know, you got to put yourself in a position to win and take that risk, you know, take that leap. You can't just complain and say, oh, it's so expensive here, and then you just stick with it. If you think it's too expensive, or if you think you're wasting your time, or you need to do something better, just go ahead and do it. And that's what we did.
And one thing too, comparing the two, like being in Santa Barbara, we seen small businesses closing left and right. Like it was almost like scary.
Depressing.
Yeah, like we would literally go down one of the big shopping streets, and
State
it was just,
Street, if you know, State Street.
Right, and it was consistently buildings going up for sale, closing signs, everything 90% off. And it was scary. And then I remember when we came to Phoenix in Arizona, like we literally just were seeing like new construction going up. So you know that's new business, you know that's new money. And it just was really inspiring just to see the new businesses coming. And I mean, for entrepreneurs, I think that's really important. If you're somewhere where you're consistently seeing businesses close, I don't know if you want to invest there, if you really want to spend much more time there. Right. So that had a lot to do with it as well.
It's one of those things where, like she said, like you would see a business open, and then 6 months later, grand opening, 6 months later, grand closing. And it's just like, it's super, super depressing to drive down one of the biggest and busiest streets in the city, or in the town for that matter, because it's really not a city, but just driving down that strip, and all you're seeing is for rent, for lease, and it's just like, people literally just couldn't afford to keep their businesses up. And you, being an entrepreneur, you see it from a different perspective, because you're literally seeing somebody like having to basically just lose out on their dreams. Sometimes lose out on, you know, how much money, thousands of dollars sometimes, redesigning an entire space and then having to start over from scratch. So like I said, it was super depressing, but it's one of those things now where, like she said, we're constantly seeing new businesses open, it's constantly seeing new construction and stuff, just growth, you know what I mean? And it's that type of energy that you need when you're starting a business, or even if you're in business, it's that energy that you need around you to kind of just keep you motivated and excited to do more. You know?
Great. One thing I was just telling my friends on the phone earlier, like I finally feel like we're at home again. Like I didn't feel like that at all in California. California for me always felt like a stepping stone. Like it never felt like a place where we could really like invest and grow and really make, you know, long lasting memories there. For me, it was always like temporary, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. But here I feel like it is home. So I mean, hopefully we can, like we already hit the ground running. So I mean, yeah. I'm ready to sprint a little bit faster to make it to the next goal, that's for sure. That's for sure,
because it's, now that I'm thinking about it, it's one of those things where it's like, not to say I didn't feel like I was home, but I saw Santa Barbara for being a place where I can easily kind of springboard the business, because when you're in a smaller city, it's not a lot to do, so because it's not a lot to do, you can focus more, you know what I mean? And it's like you can really put 110% into something, and I feel like I'm one of those people, I don't necessarily lack motivation. So it's one of those things where for me, I just want it to be somewhere where there's, you know, constant movement, constant flow, some hustle, because I'm from New York. And when you're somewhere where it's very, very retired, you know, very slow, people are very just relaxed and very chill, that could kind of rub off on you. And I know I didn't want that. Like, not right now. Maybe in 30, 40 years, I'll slow down. Maybe. But, you know what I mean? But as of right now, while we're young, this the time to do it. It's the time to set that foundation. It's the time to, you know, build a path. You know what I mean? Just build some generational wealth. So yeah, that's the goal.
This is what we talk about over dinner all the time. Like, this is like a McLeod talk. Like, this is a typical sit down, have a drink, eat some food. This is what we talking about, y'all.
So y'all just sitting in the conversation.
Right. So welcome to our first McLeod talk.
Alright, y'all, so that's what we got for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed that one, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys move from California to Arizona yourself, drop it in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Or even if you move from any other city to another city, let me know why. Drop it in the comment section. You know, I try to respond to everybody as soon as possible. And you got anything you want to say to the people?
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes, yes. Merry Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas. Alright, y'all. I'll see y'all guys in the next one. Peace.
For the winner, cause you felt like you was losing, only for the winner. Move just to keep from cooling, like only for the winner, only for the winner, only for the winner. Boy, my heart is cold, and I'm too cool to sweat it. I should've never offered it. I'm tight and now I'm off this shit. You should wanna be a real one.